Hello dear fashion designers, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, you're welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber or viewer, thank you so much for tuning in again. So in today's video, I'll be showing you how to cut this beautiful bustier dress, and I'll also be discussing with you the best way on how to achieve the sewing part. So if this is something that you'd like to know, please make sure that you watch till the end. So first, I'm gonna head to draft my starting line, and then next I'll go with the remaining horizontal lines. And for that, I have 9.5 inches for my nipple point, 12 inches for my under bust, 15.5 inches for my half length, and then 23.5 inches for the blouse length. Please take note of the blouse length. Some blouse lengths are shorter, some are longer. For this one, it's longer, and that's why the hem of the blouse can look so beautiful like this. So we'll go ahead to draw lines, and this is what we have. Next, on the starting line, I'm going to go ahead to mark 7.5 inches for my shoulder line, and then 3 inches for the neckline. On this part here, I'll go down by 0.75 inches, and then I'll connect it together to the neckline just like this. Now for my chest line, I'm going to go down by 7.5 inches. You can get your chest line by dividing your bust measurement into 6 plus 1.5 inches. So I'll just go ahead to mark 7.5 inches, then I'll make this L line just like this. This is going to be a pattern for our armhole curve. So on the line here, I'm going to go ahead to take the midpoint, and then I'll go out by 1/2 inch. I'll go ahead to then connect it together just like this. Next, I'll go ahead to label the line so that we can identify it. After that is done, I'm just going to go ahead to mark 8.5 inches for my bust measurement. Then I'll complete the armhole curve. So we are done with that. The top has a yoke, so next I'm going to go ahead to mark our yoke measurement, and for the yoke I'm marking 6.5 inches. So I'll just go ahead to draw the straight line for us to identify it. Next, I'm going to take my nipple to nipple measurement divided into 2, and that's 3.75 inches. I'm going to take that on the yoke part on the nipple area down to the blouse length just like this. I'm going to use my ruler to connect the points together just like this. Then next, for our under bust snatching, I'm going to go ahead to mark 0.75 inches at my left side, and then 1.25 inches at my right side, making 2 inches in total. So I'll do the same thing on my waist area, and I'll do the same thing also on the blouse length. So I'll just go ahead to connect the dots together with a straight line just like this. I'll use the curved part to connect it to the nipple point just like this. I came down a little bit at the nipple point area to avoid my nipple point being pointed. So at the yoke area here, to continue our bustier, I'm going to go in by 0.75 inch and then 1.25 inch, and then I'll just connect it together to the nipple point area just like this. Now you can see the way I'm connecting it just to have a flat surface just like this. Okay, so I'm going to measure what I have there, which is 2 inches. I'll take that same measurement on this other part just like this. Whatever that which we measure, we need to add it back, all right, so that we are not going to have a smaller chest line. So if you took 2.5 inches for your dart intake, make sure that you add that to the sleeve area just like this. All right, so next I'll go ahead to label the yoke part so that we can identify it. I'm going to go down by 1/2 inch to form the shape at the neckline area of the yoke joining. For the other side, I'm going to just measure what I have here, and I will check it and mark the same thing on this other side, all right, because at the end of the day it has to align together, and most times while taking on equal that point like this, it's not aligning. So I'll just measure it and make sure that it's the same thing, and I'll connect it together just like this. All right, on my waistline, I'm going to take my waist measurement. Now take note, you can snatch the blouse, all right, so if your waist is 30 inches, you can take 28 inches. That's going to be 7 inches. Okay, then make sure that you add 2 inches for your dart intake. Make sure that you add your dart allowance, which is 2 inches at this point. All right, so on the blouse length, I'm going to take my hip measurement plus ½ inch. Okay, so at the waist you are reducing, you are snatching your waist, but at the blouse length here you want to enhance the blouse, okay, so that the blouse can sit on the hip very well. So that means you need to add 1 inch to ½ inch. All right, that one is fine. You just want to give some kind of allowance on the blouse area. So after that is done, I'm just going to go ahead to connect everything together. So at the hem line here for the blouse, I'm going to go up by 1 inch, and at the dart area to create the stylish hemline, at this area here, I'm going to mark 3 inches on both ends, just like this. So I can then use my curve ruler to form the curves. Please make sure that when you are doing the curve, you should not be too close to the dart line. It can be about 0.25 inch away, so as to make it not to be sharp. So I'll do the same thing on this place. I'll just use my curve rule to connect it. So this way you're going to have a perfect stylish hemline on your blouse. Please take note, like what I said, if you just connect your curve to the dart line like this, you are going to have a sharp curve at this point. All right, so next, after that is done, I'm going to go ahead to mark my side darts, and for that I'll be going down by 1 inch on this part. Then I'm going to use my ruler to connect it down to the nipple area, just like this. So for the side dart, you will need to calculate the difference between the half length at the front and then the half length at the back. For this measurement is 1 inch difference, so that's what I just marked for the side dart. So next, I'll just go ahead to use my marker to create lines on the area which we need to cut out. So after that is done, I'm going to go ahead to close my side dart. You can just use your marking tape to put it together, or you use a pin. Next, I'm just going to go ahead to cut out our pattern. Then I can now go ahead to work on the yoke. Now after cutting it out, we are going to go ahead to mark our neckline, and here I'm just using the marker to trace what we have left. All right, and so as to have a good shape for our yoke down. So this is what we have. So to continue with our yoke here, I'll go ahead to mark 3.5 inches. This is better than using the regular 3 by 3 inches, okay, for this stylish neckline. So one side is straight down, which we are going to go ahead to do. You can decide to cut it separately and then join it together at the sewing point, but I would advise that you just do it like this. So I'll just use my curve ruler to and place it just like this to create the cover part, and this is what we have. For the sewing of this yoke, you can choose to use a bias tape if you want to, but I would advise that you use a tulle net. Now for this style, what was used for this style was a chatelaine net. You can use sample net or cord lace, whatever fabric that you have, but still at the end of the day, I will advise that if you are using something transparent just like this, like a lace, then turn it with a net. You can use the skin color of the person who is going to wear the outfit, or you can just use the same color of the material to turn it, and then at the end of the day you trim very close to your stitches, and then you have a beautiful neckline. So next, for the back pattern, I'm gonna head to mark my zip allowance 1.5 inches and also the starting line. You can choose to use a lacing bar if you want to. Alright, so for the yoke, which we used earlier, was 6.5 inches. I'm going to go ahead to mark that, and then for the waist, 14.5 inches. So I'm going to get my front pattern and then measure what I have from the waist to the hemline of the blouse, just like this, and I have about 7.75 inches. So I'm going to just mark that just like this. This method is what works best for me, because there's difference between the back and the waist, and for your blouse to sit well, I prefer to draft my front pattern first. Afterwards, I take the measurement of the waist to the blouse length to have equal sides for both the front panel and then the back panel. So after drawing the lines, I'm going to go ahead to mark my shoulder, which is 7.5 inches, and then for my neckline width 3.5 inches. After that is done, I'm going to go down by 0.75 inch on this shoulder line here, and then I'm going to create my shoulder slope. So next, I'm going to mark my chest line, which is 7.5 inches. Afterwards, I'll just use my pencil to create the L shape for drafting the armhole area. So I'll just go ahead to label. That's my chest line, yoke, waist, and then the blouse length. So next, I'm going to continue with my armhole curve. I'm going to divide what I have there by 2, and then I'm going to go ahead to take my bust measurement. And for my bust, I have 8.5 inches, and I'll just connect it just like this to the half part of the line. All right, so after that is done, I'm going to go ahead to mark my nipple to nipple measurement, okay, so as to take our dart, and afterwards I will add half inches on both sides to mark our dart. Next, I'm going to take the shoulder to nipple plus 1 inch for the length of the dart. So I'll go ahead to take that same measurement on both the blouse area and the starting line for our dart. So I'll just go ahead to use my marker to connect everything together, and this is what we have for the dart. So next, on the waist area, I'm going to take the waist measurement plus 1 inch for the dart allowance. Now remember that I said you can snatch your waist by 1 inch or half inch. So for the yoke at the back, you can choose to do different style. You can make it be just like this, but I'll just choose to take it straight down just like this to have like a square shape neckline. So this is what we have for that at the armhole curve. So next, I'm going to go up by 1 inch just like we did for the front panel, and then I'm going to connect it together just like this. One important thing while using zip for your blouse, try to avoid gaping, okay? So make sure that you go out by half an inch just like this, and then connect it to the hemline, and you have a very beautiful blouse, trust me. So for the sewing of this beautiful blouse, I will advise that you use a bust caging method. I have a sample video of it. That's the funnel corset. The funnel corset involve both the underbust and the bustier, okay? So in that video, I shared with you how to properly cage your bustier and flesh it properly so as to have a very good result. Now I shared some tips and tricks on how to flesh a bustier in that video. You can check it out. And also, for a very good result, I will advise that you make use of paper stay for the hemline of the blouse. So this is going to give the edge of the hemline this sharp and smooth shape after ironing. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.